I love training actors. And I think the one thing that satisfies me the most is seeing the success of my students once they leave my classroom. And that's why I'm happy to share with you my conversation today with Rebecca Knox, my former student, my friend, who has been carving out a very eclectic career for herself. And we're going to discuss why being kind to everyone is important. We're going to talk about her film, Cavity, which you can stream on Amazon, which she wrote, produced, and starred in, and how she took a one-line audition for Orange is the New Black and turned it into 13 episodes as the oxy addict, Tina Swope. So put the phone back in your pocket. Creating Behavior starts now. Well, hello, my fellow daydreamers. Well, I don't know about you, but that was the longest fucking week of my life. Good God. Tuesday night, I went to bed so despondent, I finally fell asleep around 2 o'clock in the morning. So between Tuesday and Saturday, the only thing that I was able to accomplish really with any real efficiency was flipping between John King and Steve Kornacki. That was it. I went down the CNN and MSNBC wormhole, as I'm sure probably many of you did. I don't know, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. It was a long 4 days, Jesus. But there was nothing better than on Saturday late morning, seeing those results, hearing the projection, and knowing that we succeeded, that we got this motherfucker out, that he is no longer going to have the strings of power. That's what we accomplished, and it was the most important thing. We can talk about the Senate, and we can talk about losing seats in the House, and, the really well-positioned place that these Republicans are in now. And we also have to look at the fact that 70 million people voted for Trump. That we've got 70 million people in this country that are scared shitless, that think that, the government's been stolen from them, that this election has been stolen from them. And thank God we have someone, a man and a woman now, that are going to go into that White House, that are going to hopefully help alleviate those fears, because we have to do that. We have to calm things down. We have to work to reach out to those people that think we are out to hurt them. But we did what we needed to do. We got him out. And I will tell you, Biden understands the importance of arts and culture in this country. Now, I don't think he's the biggest arts consumer, right? You don't see him going to the opera, every other month and going to the theater constantly. But he understands the arts place in our culture, the economic engine that we drive, the community building that art does for us, the political action triggers that art can provoke. All very important. Trump, for him, it was just celebrity. You know what I mean? Let me hang out with Ted Nugent and Kid Rock, for fuck's sake. Stripping all of the funding for the NEA, for the NEH. He didn't think that government had any responsibility in propping up and helping arts flourish. But Biden, he does, and that's important. So I'm just going to give you this quote. This is a Biden quote from an interview he gave years ago, but it's important. And he said this: "The future of who we are lies in the arts. It's the expression of our soul." And now we've got that man at the top level of our government. So it's really exciting, really exciting. Before I get into my conversation with Rebecca, I did want to pass along this really great piece from the New York Times. It came out October 26th, and the title of it is "Transforming the Pandemic into Art." It is a written and visual piece by Emily Rueb, R-U-E-B. It's a spotlight on a young man named Ansel Uman. He is a clinical lab technologist at a New York City hospital. And, he has been on the ground level here of all of the trauma and the angst and, just the worry that this pandemic has been bringing to all of us, right? He's in the lab. He is getting those results, as they come in. And what he did is he found a way to be creative with what he does. He began making art from the sticky red and orange biohazard labels that you see on, everything from doors to, lab results. And it's really beautiful. And I just thought it was fascinating to see how he was able to find a creative outlet to deal with his anxiety and his pain. And I'll just quote him here. He said, "To metabolize trauma and grief, I resort to the arts because it's a way to convert something intangible and make it into something that has form." And he even talks about, where he got some inspiration. A source of inspiration for him was a book that he had recently read, a book by Rachel Carson called Silent Spring. It's a book really that talks about the dangers of pesticides and the way, we deal with our food in this country. But anyway, he read this book and it gave him this idea for this piece called Silent Spring, which has this human-shaped relief, right? It's this white human form on the paper. And what he built around it, what he cut out of it in such a fine detail, all these biohazard labels were cut into flowers and butterflies, and it's really pretty. So you should check it out. I just think when we can find, fellow artists who are figuring out how to contribute something during, periods in our life where we are feeling traumatized and anxious, I think is very inspiring. So check that out. And now I just want to say a few words about Rebecca. She is just a really lovely human being. She's a good person. She's that actor that shows up on set that is nice to everybody in the crew. She understands and appreciates everybody's job. And that goes a long way when you're working professionally. And, we're going to talk here about what she's learned over these many years. This is a young woman who, she's still in her 20s, and she has already started her own music label. She wrote, produced, and starred in her own short feature called Cavity, which was very personal and very vulnerable thing for her to put out into the world. She's going to talk about that. And a lot of the things that she's learned just from knocking down doors, building relationships, going into a room and auditioning well. We're going to find out what she's learned. And so we're going to start off our conversation here just talking about the pandemic and what those first few months were like, how she navigated through the depression and the anxiety I think that we all were feeling to kind of reclaim the desire to create again. So here's Rebecca.
Well, at first it was difficult. I was a bit depressed and anxious and came back to New York, stayed with my parents for the duration, most of it. And yeah, it didn't feel good living back at home as much as I love my parents. I didn't feel inspired. Everyone was anxious. The whole world seemed like it was crumbling. It was really gray and cold in New York. I didn't do anything. I wasn't productive. I'm not going to bullshit and say I was, because I wasn't.
Well, I don't think it's hard. It's hard to be productive in a time like
Yeah.
that, especially, with, the murder of George Floyd and all of the protests and that pain and the anger and
Yeah.
all of it just happening at the same time. I think all artists are struggling to kind of reclaim that artistic spirit.
Yeah, the universal pain s- thus far has just kind of, it's been so heavy. It has felt in a way selfish, or I don't know, gluttonous to kind of like focus on my story when there are so many other stories that need the spotlight at the moment. But, at the same time, I have figured out a way to kind of forgive myself and say, no, but my art too, and my story and what I want to put into the world is still important. And for my sake as an artist, I need to use my voice. So I guess the beginning of quarantine was difficult, very difficult.
Well, it's hard
And
going back to live with your parents. I mean, I have so many
yeah,
students that, people are in their late 30s and have to move back home because they can't afford their
yeah,
rent.
that was hard. I also, yeah, so I went back to New York, and then I didn't have a routine for a while, and then actually what saved me mentally as an artist and got me back on track and inspired was making a routine, a daily routine. So when I wake up in the morning, I meditate for 20 minutes. That's something I've been doing every single day. I don't stop. I always do it. And what I've noticed after doing that for the last month and a half is that I'm much more inspired as an artist again. I have this newfound excitement for life, which at the time, a few months ago, I didn't. I was like, what is going to happen? Am I ever going to work again? Am I ever going to be working on projects? Or, it was all really, really scary. Um, and the meditation has really helped me. And every day, just doing that and then sitting down and forcing myself to write a page. And also, I'm someone who uses physical activity to help with any kind of anxiety. And it was difficult for a while to know that I couldn't go to a class, or so I've gotten used to doing things from home. And the meditation has given me this newfound, I feel grounded and I feel much more capable of like writing, which before I just felt like I don't want to write anything. I don't feel inspired. I don't know what the hell's going on.
That's a big habit to, a creative habit to kind of instill so that it becomes something that you do every day. Was that easy to like just build that into your life or?
Well, I've actually been meditating on and off for the last 6 years, but I stopped for a while. And I also was on tour. I mean, my schedule was not very steady the last year. I'm actually engaged now. I don't know if you knew that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But yeah, my fiance is a musician, a touring musician. So I was actually touring with him and filming the band on the road in Paris and Amsterdam and Brussels and also on the West Coast. And I made this set of videos for them, a music video. And I didn't have any kind of routine. And even before the pandemic, it was starting to wear on me. But now that we've kind of settled into the reality, both of us, because I mean, his life is completely changed as well. He's not going to be on tour for who knows how long. Um, the routine has helped tremendously for both of us because we do it together and we run together and we drink our green smoothies together. And, just having that daily, just even that one thing has changed my mindset. And I'm not a pessimist and I never have been. So I don't know. I'm feeling excited again about being an artist.
Well, I mean, you have a hell of a work ethic. I mean, you were in school with me when? It was, I want to say 2017, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was that 2017, a bit of maybe 2018.
And you left because you were getting ready to do Orange is the New Black.
Correct.
And talk about getting thrown into an inferno. I mean, that was a hell of a part to take on, as a young actor, a drug addict, and
Yeah.
going through withdrawals, and all of the things you had to contend with in that script. As an actor, what was it like to show up there? Certainly in a show where they've been together for what, 5 seasons,
Yeah, four,
and
four,
right, they're
five,
close.
five, yeah.
They're close. They have their relationships, and you come into this world. Like what did you, as an actor, take away from the experience?
Well, I didn't have any trouble making friends.
Of course.
But that's because I think I didn't go in there trying to, I wasn't sucking anyone's dick. And I don't mean to be like harsh when I say that, but I wasn't like I wasn't sucking up to anyone. I wasn't like, oh my God, hi. I mean, I was honored, so honored to be joining this cast. But at the same time, I also knew my place and I knew my part in the cog. So I wasn't trying to garner too much attention when I had to do something small on screen. I was just doing my job and I was doing what I had to do, but also I was kind and chill. I mean, I wasn't chill inside. I was freaking out. I was nervous to be around Natasha Lyonne, especially because she's a tough cookie and she knows what she's doing. I just went there to do my job and I was kind to everyone. It doesn't matter what part of the set you work on, the gaffing, the set, the costumes, the makeup, just everyone is actually an equal part of this project. So that's what I learned. Well, what I took away from it, I'm so grateful that I was able to be a part of that machine.
Well, I think that actors also that think that way takes a lot of pressure off of yourself because you're really not the be all and end all. I mean, it is like this huge thing, this huge organic, living, breathing thing, this set, and everybody has their job. And, being nice to people goes a long way.
Yeah, being nice to people goes a hell of a long way. And also, every single person that's there, actors are treated much more elevated and we are catered to. And I think that's probably why a lot of actors end up turning into monsters because, hey, I mean, it's nice being taken to and from your dressing room and being given food and asked all the time how you are. I mean, it's weird having someone hold all your stuff for you and like cater to you all the time. It's a very weird thing if you're not used to it. And I'm still very much so not used to that.
I've heard actors say that when they get onto a set and they've got a big part, that like their training can go out the window and they forget stuff and they rely on, bad habits just because it's easier. I mean, did you find yourself, because you trained a lot, you worked with Susan Batson, you worked with me. Mm-hmm. What did your training like offer you when you found yourself on set and, you hear action and, you've got all these people around you?
What I actually took the most from any of my teachers is actually from what you taught me. It actually helped me the most. And I stuck to it the most. Just do what you're there. What are you doing in the scene and just do it. If you're folding laundry, fold the laundry. And that always helped me get out of my head. I honestly, it is difficult it's not like I'm going to be, I didn't really have enough to think, I didn't have to prep like this crazy scenario, but, before we went on screen, I didn't have to like be in this devastated state or anything, but there was a level of understanding I had to have. And the detail that I took from your training, actually, just paying attention to the detail about what exactly and why and how it is I am the way I am. But when I'm actually on camera, the biggest thing was just really.
Well, there's a level of concentration you've got to have, right? I mean, film has a way of just distilling your concentration because you have to be simple, but you still have to be able to be vivid and and tell the story that you need to tell for the good of the whole, right? I mean, like you got to do what is written on that page. Did you guys do a lot of takes, or were you guys like a 1-2 take kind of thing, or?
It really depended on the director. Some directors were adamant on getting every single angle of the scene. So we had, the same scene done 20, 30 times because the camera was shifting. Or there were some directors that were I loved my favorite director on the show was Andrew McCarthy. He was actually an actor originally.
Absolutely.
He was in Pretty in Pink and
part of the Brat Pack back in the 80s.
Yeah. So he was my favorite director to work with on Orange because his style was, he got there, he was very energetic and he was very specific about what he wanted to do in terms of physicality and where he wanted us to stand. And, So for me personally, that was helpful because we would get there and then he would take each actor one at a time and say, okay, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to be doing this and you're going to be mopping the floor here. And then you're going to move to this mark. And then you're going to be taking this thing off here. And then you're going to go over there and you're going to say it to her, but you're going to look that way. And then you're going to do this while this camera's over here. You know, he was very specific and you had to really prick up your ears to catch it because he was so quick. But it kept me present. And the fact that he was so specific with what he wanted to do, what wanted us to do, helped me get out of my own nerves, and also my acting came out stronger, in my opinion.
Is there anything about the experience that, like, you didn't expect? You know, you have this idea what it's going to be like to be on a major set like that. Is there anything that maybe surprised you or was not what you had imagined or fantasized?
Well, I didn't expect to be there that long.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first auditioned, the role was only written for 3 episodes, 2 or 3 episodes.
So they wrote you in for more based off of what you were doing?
For 2 seasons, yeah. I auditioned one line. I said one thing in the audition room, and I was like, okay, hey, Daddy, look at this. That's all I had to say. Hey, Daddy, look at this. And it was supposed to be a small character for 3 episodes, 2 episodes, like a little blip or something. And so I went in and I was like, wow, it's awesome. I just get to be here for whatever, a couple days. And then I just kept getting called back. And all of a sudden, 2 seasons go by. And well, that was very unexpected, truly.
So what was about that audition that was different than the other ones?
Right before I went into the room, I mean, first of all, I didn't have any makeup on. My hair was disgusting. I wore just gross, like baggy wife beater. And I sat there. Something I always do before I go into auditions is I don't look at any of the other actors. I don't make small talk. I have my headphones in. I usually have a recording of the other person's lines. I don't look at anyone. I go, I find a seat and I sign myself, but I sit down and I just focus. And so what I was doing before I went into the room was, okay, so this chick is an oxy addict. So what I was doing was sitting there imagining being completely drenched in very heavy honey. And I'm very happy, but very heavy honey. I was just thinking about honey dripping down everywhere. So that's all I did. I sat there and I really focused. Honey, 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 honey. And like I'm happy too. Like I'm like giggly, and honey's nice, it's sweet. Have a little taste of it. So then when they called me in, I was like, I felt like I was a little high. I was giggling. And, you know, I made the casting director laugh, you know, because she was like, okay, she's really enjoying that.
Listen, those actable metaphors are perfect for impediment work.
Yeah, and it worked for me. And I have found, you know, ever since that audition, I've been auditioning actually during quarantine, and I've had quite a few, which I'm very fortunate to have had. But my new approach to auditions, because I still always memorize everything and I study
got to do that.
Yeah, that's first and foremost, so just so I can really do the work. But something that I've taken away from that audition, and I've actually, I think, in my opinion, gotten much better at, is going in and really being prepared, but also saying fuck it and having fun with it. And I don't care if I get it or not, because I'm not going to die, and I can create my own work, which I do. And if they love me, awesome. If they don't, someone will, you know. But I know nowadays, going into the auditions, or as lately it's been video, you know, it's been tapes. I like the work I put out. I love the work I put out. I think it's great. And I think I'm getting better. I know I am. So at this point, it's out of my hands. I put myself out there. I sparkle for them. And if they don't like me for that role, I think they probably still like me.
Listen, if you do good work, if you can go into a room and just do good work, they're going to remember you. You might not book that part, but it's not about the job. It's about doing good work and leaving a good impression. So they go, you know what? You're not right for this, but I'm going to call you back.
Right.
But most actors, they don't get a call back, and they automatically assume it's because I suck. Nah. And so your way of your way of looking at it is what's going to keep you in this game for a long time because most people can't handle the rejection. They quit.
Well, you know what? That rejection, it's like out of sight, out of mind. That's the way I try to, because I have a lot of actor friends, obviously, and some people get really bogged down. Like, even if you do get a call back and then you still don't book it. I mean, last year that happened to me. I was 4 callbacks for the lead of a Netflix show. And my last audition was in front of the writers, producers, director. Didn't get it, but I got that close, you know?
And
And
that's
that's
amazing. That's a
awesome.
success. That's a success.
Yeah,
Huge
that's
success.
a success. And I've learned to like, let's enjoy these auditions. They're fun. They're like a little moment where we get to do the job that, something I miss about being in your class is that I was able to practice the craft every day. I
Right.
was there weekly. I was working. I was doing scenes. Then once you're out of school, you don't have that privilege anymore. So these auditions are small snippets of being able to like go out there and try something out and have fun and do a little dance and like that's a gift. That's fun. So if you don't get the job, that's fine. You're
This is
still
true.
acting.
This is very true. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you in particular, and one of the reasons why I just think the world of you and have a lot of respect for you, it kind of goes back
Thank
to,
you.
well, it goes back to, working with Andrew McCarthy. I mean, he was an actor, he's a director, he's a producer, and you're just not an actor. You don't have all your apples in one basket, which is what a lot of actors do, right? It's all acting, acting, acting. Every audition is like this life and death thing. But I mean, you've done so much. You started a record label. You toured with
Mm.
Beirut for a couple of years, which I love their music. You write, you direct. You directed your short Cavity. I mean, you produce. Can you just talk about like the need for versatility and having other things other than just acting that you're passionate about?
Well, thank you, Charlie, by the way. Well, I think it's the need actually, it's the need to consistently be in the world that I love so much and to be in the arts. So, obviously my dream would be to be the lead number one on the call sheet for an HBO show,
Yeah,
putting that
absolutely.
out there into the universe. Hello, universe. But uh, no, I mean, I think it's just like the overall joy and love that the world, the world of film brings me. I love the music world too. That was my world when I was in my late teens, more so than now. Even though I'm directing music videos all of a sudden. Yeah, I just love to be active in the community. I love, even if it's, helping out a friend's set and being a PA, I don't care. I get to meet other people that are making really cool work. I get to meet directors. I get to meet other producers. I get to meet other actors, um, and set designers and makeup artists and people that are just as passionate as I am. And I love learning about what goes on behind the camera because those jobs are just as important, if not more so. I mean, they actually are out there standing in the cold for the full 12 hours while the actors get to sit down and chill with heating pads and snacks. And I like to know the struggle of the other side. And, you know, now that I've been directed enough times, I do really like directing because I love actors and I know what has worked for me and what hasn't. And so now I'm still not fully confident in all of it, but I am becoming more confident in my own direction, to other people. And I just love making, you know, art. So I am actually starting to find my own style. Like with my film Cavity was my first project where I had this vision and that was all my vision and I brought together a beautiful amazing team and we got it done. Now it's on Amazon Prime, which I'm really excited about, and it'll probably be made into a feature. But now I also have these other, shorts and features that I'm writing, but I'm starting to figure out that I do have a style now, and I do have a vision, and I do have specific things I like that I've learned from consistently trying and working. So I'm
What's your
just,
style?
uh, well, I don't know if I'd be able to like pin it down into one word or something, but I'm kind of discovering this through. I'm actually working on this music video right now that I wrote a treatment for that has like a really cool storyline to it, and it's very stylized. And there's I love color and like the. I'm not gonna say my style is there. It's always dark. I like dark, but I like um
Yeah, well, I mean,
I guess
Cavity it was dark in that sense, but like, that dinner scene, I mean, you had so much color, whether it was what people were wearing
right.
or the just the set itself,
Yeah.
you were in a great house. Was that Stephanie's house
I
you were in?
it's
Was it,
actually my
that
it's
was your
actually my
house?
apartment.
Well, how about
Yeah.
the dinner party? Where was the dinner party?
In the same house.
Are
We
you
shot it all
kidding
in one
me? Oh
apartment.
my God.
Uh-huh.
It was a
It's my
great look.
grandma's apartment.
Oh,
It's
that
my
was
grandma's apartment. It's not mine. I don't own it. It's ridiculous.
No, it was very colorful, and you had so much going on. And no, I know Ian Adelson directed it, and you had this.
Hmm.
I loved how you shot the history of this relationship. You had
Hmm.
this montage of images that were like, over in this corner and on the other corner, and it just showed the
Hmm.
escalation of the abuse, psychological, a little bit of the physical. Who came up with that idea? Because I thought it was a great way to show like
Yeah.
months and months of a relationship in a span of like 20 seconds.
That's actually what Alec Baldwin said that he loved
It was my favorite part of
when
it. It was
I
my favorite
spoke to
part.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said his favorite part was, and he said he wanted to steal it from me. And I was like, wow, steal away, steal away.
Yeah.
Um, well, okay, so when I wrote the script, I had this idea of, kind of like I wrote it out in that way. Like, all of a sudden it's like kind of maybe overlapping and foggy and, kind of time lapse sort of thing. I wrote out this like kind of long paragraph of how I wanted it to go. So then when I got together with Ian and Fitz, the DP, we sat down and we kind of explored ways of how we would be able to do that in a short time, because short films, you really have to condense things. Um, and I don't know if it was Fitz or Ian, but one of them came up with this idea of why not. Oh, we actually came up with it on the spot, actually. We were in the apartment and we had to shoot and we ran out of time. So I believe it was Fitz and Ian together. They were like, I think what we're going to do is we're going to set the camera in one place and we're only going to be able to take one take of each moment. Okay, so let's practice. But, we'll shoot it and then bring the camera up to the chandelier, and then stop the camera, reset the scene, and then we'll rehearse that next bit. So when the camera comes down from the chandelier, you'll be doing something else. Finish that. It goes back up to the chandelier and then comes down. And that was a way for us to. We only had one chance to shoot it all just because of timing, but that was kind of this clever way of going through time and changing the scene in that same room. I mean, I just love my team that I put together, and they're just, I mean, I love working with them. They're also creative and wonderful.
And it was also very personal. I mean, you wrote from personal experience,
Yeah.
which is a very vulnerable place to go to put that on screen. What was that like to kind of bare your soul in that way?
It was perhaps one of the best things I could have done to get over the pain that was still kind of inside of me, not just from one relationship, but from a series of relationships that where I wasn't treated the way I should have been treated, and where I kind of was complicit in toxic, bad, self hatred as well. And it really helped me heal and kind of move past this dark period of my life where, and I mean, therapy has also helped with this, but now where I'm at, I know what I'm worth. I know what I deserve. I'm grateful for all of the pain I have experienced throughout the years in all different forms, because that gives me like this depth of feeling and like this well of inspiration. But I also am much more direct with what I need and what I want and how I want to be treated. And if I don't get that, then hit the road. That's it. So I'm glad it's out there, because I've actually gotten messages on Instagram from people I've never met saying, hey, I watched Cavity and you have no idea how good it was to see something like this, because I know what it feels like. That's exactly why I made
Yeah,
it.
because it's such, I mean, what is it, 14 minutes? And,
Yeah.
in that span, like those first, I don't know, 10 minutes, I found myself just getting upset with you. I'm like, come on, this woman,
Yeah.
has no fucking self-esteem whatsoever. And it was upsetting. It was upsetting to watch this guy
Yeah.
treat you that way. And in this short film, have this journey happen for you, this kind of epiphany, this light bulb go off. Like, you told
Yeah.
so much in such a short period of time. I can understand how there are a lot of women out there that are moved by it and maybe forced or challenged to think about their own complicit
Yeah.
kind of, acceptance of how they're treated.
Right. And also, Instagram, really, you put out there what you want people to see. So I have all of my, hot pics, and I'm looking good and looking happy and looking like everything is amazing in my life. And even when this stuff was actually going on in my life, you would not have known that from my Instagram. And what I think is really important, because there is such a facade, I think it's really important to just kind of splay your guts out for people and show that you're not this perfect, always, sparkly, happy, chipper, productive girl. Because, I go through very dark periods, and I've also not been like, an angel, really. And I have been very, very insecure. And still to this day, sometimes Instagram makes me feel like full shit.
Yeah,
Um,
it has a way of doing that, doesn't it?
it does. It does. But I've actually also I've gotten to a place now where, and of course this is probably going to change again because it's a roller coaster. Right now, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I lose or gain followers. I'm going to put out there what I like. And I'm actually going to focus on work and not that, because I'm not going to be I'm not going to become famous on Instagram to get a career. I'm going to get a career and then probably get followers after that. That's the way I'm envisioning
Well, what sucks is
myself.
that in this business, I mean, they do care about how many followers you have, especially when you're auditioning at a high level. They're going to want to know how many followers you got, and it
Yeah.
can determine, if it's between you and one other person, it might just come down to how many followers each one of you have, which is bullshit. But
That's true.
it's part of
But
it.
see, you know what though? That is true, and it used to bog me down a lot. But I also booked Orange is the New Black with not that many followers. I also booked other jobs with not that many followers. And I know I do good work, and I'm going to continue to do good work, and I'm getting called into rooms. So they're going to see my work, and there are opportunities for actors that don't have that following to get a job. It happens. That's how people are discovered, quote unquote. And a lot of people who have a ton of followers aren't very good actors. It's like there's a lot of bullshit behind that. And if you really want to be a part of a production that's going to see your followers and then cast you, for me, that's, you know what, cool. If you want to do that, that's good for your production. Fine. Um, but I know that I don't know. I don't really worry about that because I'm putting good work out there.
Well, and you also, I mean, one thing that I respect about you is your ability to build relationships. Can you, like, how important is that? Because, you've collaborated with a lot of people, a lot of friends. Your work Cavity for sure was just built off of relationships and the people you've met and known. And I tell my students, like, a lot of your success is going to come from your ability to maintain, establish, and create relationships, and with talented people that inspire you.
Well, I think the thing that's helped me the most, because I've really garnered a lot of good relationships with really, really, up there people that have careers that I aspire to have.
Yeah.
Something I've learned is humility. And if they do, like, if you're really, awestruck by being around someone, just be like, hey, I'm gonna be real. Your work has changed my life. But I think humility is the biggest thing. And also, I always follow up with people. I always get everyone's information. I mean, that's what I've learned from also just not just acting on set, but being even just a production assistant is getting to know everyone who's there, because you don't know what other things they're doing, or, I mean, it's incredible once you start building a community. It's incredible the kind of people that you get to meet and collaborate with. And I'm much more established in New York. I mean, I have a very big team in New York, but in LA, I'm actually starting to build that community. And I'm so excited and thrilled that I have met and garnered relationships with the people that I have, because I'm starting to really, it feels like, put my feet in the ground.
Do you find that your Meisner training has helped you writing? Because, Meisner deals with previous circumstance and acting relationship and objectives and actions and all these things. Do you find writing easier because of the training you've had?
Yes. Something that I have found to be very, very, very important to my writing, and just actually all of my work that I've learned from Meisner and also being in your class, is the attention to detail, and also finding holes in crafting, because it doesn't mean just holes in my crafting before I'm going to go and audition or go and be on set. It actually also it applies to my direction, when I'm directing something or when I'm writing. I mean, the details have to be there, and I want to paint the picture. I want the audience to know what world they're being dropped into, and it all boils down to the details of the relationships and where they are, what the room really smells like and looks like and feels like. And um, yeah, it 100% plays a huge part constantly.
You've been at this now, how many years? 5, 6 years, pursuing your
Hmm.
career. You've got your whole life ahead of you still, but you've accomplished a hell of a lot. What's your advice to people that are, coming out of school at this time, in this pandemic, and they think, God, I've got nothing on my resume. I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do. I mean, you were there once.
Yeah.
What have you learned that, you think you would be important for other actors to hear?
That's something I haven't thought about. I haven't thought about what it must be like for the actors coming out of school right now. That, I mean, a big part of my success was being able to do student films, do a ton of them, and then also go and do scenes in front of casting directors, which is what I did a ton of as well. Um, I believe that you're still able to do that. And I think any opportunity that you can practice scene work and audition technique classes, that is a muscle that is not actually trained as much in schooling when you're learning, Meisner or Strasberg or Adler or whatever. I think it's actually getting used to the audition technique that is a whole other
It's a whole nother
process.
art form, auditioning.
It is. And I think that there's going to be a new world in terms of auditioning. I don't think we're going to have in-person auditions for a while. I think it's all going to be Zoom and self-tapes. But I think as if you can practice doing, audition sides, if you can practice those. And also, it is nice of me to say, oh, hey, also, if you feel like writing something, do it and shoot it with your iPhone. Not everyone has that desire, and that's okay. Um, this is a great time to watch every single movie that has been made and make a list of 100 movies and your favorite ones, and then decide why they're your favorite, what scenes you like the best out of it, and just make a log. That's what I've actually been working on. If you feel like making something, use your iPhone. I have shot things with my iPhone. You can edit things on there, but if you don't have that desire, that's fine. Still take this time. You can just watch all this work.
Taking
There is a plethora. Yeah, just like study other people's work. I mean, I love that. I mean, sometimes I'm just completely awestruck. I'm like, wow, I want to do that kind of work. Holy shit, that's awesome.
It's also the
You
source
know?
of ideas for you down the road, because you go, oh, it's like this from that movie. It's like that moment, or it's like this moment, or it's like that character.
Yeah, and also, if you can afford to take a class, even if it's Zoom, and be with the community of other actors, that really helps. Something that has helped me tremendously is being able is the community I've built, and the people that I have in my back pocket that I can call, and we can, study lines together, or we can, just talk about how shitty this time is, and talking to other artists. We're all in the same boat. Being an artist right now is really hard, and I love my unemployment checks, I gotta say.
Well, my fellow daydreamers, thank you for sticking around and keeping that phone in your pocket. Please subscribe to the show, follow it, spread the word, share it with your friends, review it on iTunes. That all would be fantastic. You can go to my website, creatingbehaviorpodcast.com, for all of the content, all the links to these episodes. You can leave me a message through SpeakPipe. Just press that red button and let me know some of your thoughts, your opinions, any questions you'd like me to talk about on the show. You can follow me on Instagram at Creating Behavior. You can follow my studio at Maggie Flanagan Studio. Lawrence Trailer, thank you for the music. And yes, it is hard to be an artist right now. Be kind to everybody. Play full out with yourself when you can, and don't ever settle for your second best. My name is Charlie Sandlan. Peace.